ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are reading from Brahma-saṁhitā. Let me share my desktop. Can you confirm that you can see both my slides and the screen? Okay, thank you, Mataji. So last time we saw in the Brahma-saṁhitā in few verses, I think we did from 16 through 18. So how from Mahā-Viṣṇu, who is a kāraṇāni Viṣṇu, many universes in the form of egg-shaped universes come out, and then he enters into those, as well as then he creates from his bodily limbs Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva for maintenance, annihilation, and creation of the universes. So, and further, last time we saw, and then a lotus flower, golden lotus flower, comes out of his nabhi, cic-chaktyā tato nabhas, tasya padmam vinaryayo tannalam hemanalinam brahmano lokam adbhutam. So that lotus flower, on the top of that lotus flower is the abode of Brahmaji, which is adbhutam or wonderful. So that's where we stopped last time. So we'll continue from text 19 today. tattvāni pūrva-rūḍhāni kāraṇāni parasparam samavāyāprayogāc vibhinnāni pṛthak cic-chaktyā sajjamāno bhagavān ādi-pūruṣaḥ yojayan māyayā devo yoga-nidrām akalpayat. Translation: before their conglomeration or combination of the primary elements in their nascent state remained originally separate entities. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Divine Mahā-Viṣṇu, primal Godhead, through association with his own spiritual or chit potency moved Māyā, and by the application of conglomerating principle created these different entities in their state of cooperation. And after that, he himself consorted with Yoganidrā by way of his eternal dalliance with his spiritual chit potency. So there is some repetition of what we are saying here. So tattvāni pūrva-rūḍhāni, tattva, panchamaha tattva, the material elements that were created in the before this. So they were still maintained as separate. They were not mixed. The word here used is samavāyā, or conglomeration or combination or mixing of those elements did not happen then, and they were separate, vibhinnāni pṛthak. Before the process that the Lord wills to mix them, and then the living entities are also awakened, and they are put into that material element in the where they are covered by the ahankara or egotistic principle that we saw last week, that Shambhu is the presiding deity of ahankara, which covers the jivas by ahankara. And So in the beginning, these material elements are all separate. But by the will of the Lord, that's what it says, vibhinnāni pṛthak. But cic-chaktyā, by his spiritual potency, sajjamāno, so he, by associating with the material world, bhagavān ādi-pūruṣaḥ, yojayan, māyayā devo. So by his material potency, he mixed those, or he combined those material elements, but he still remains separate, as we are hearing this again and again. But he was again yoga-nidrām akalpayat. He was consorting with yoga-nidrā potency, which is the spiritual potency of the Lord, that is chit potency. So even though he is in the purport, it is mentioned that he quotes the verse of 9th chapter, 10th verse, Māyā prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunānena kaunteya jagat viparivartati, where it says, Krishna says that this material energy is not independent and does not work independently. It is working under my control, my adhyakshata. So this mundane energy which gives the birth to these material universes is working under my direction, and it is the chara achara. So animate and inanimate as or all the beings are working under my direction. So even in this purport, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that even though the material energy is also working under control of the Supreme Lord or Mahā-Viṣṇu, he does not associate with material energy directly. So he is always controlling the material energy through his spiritual or the chit potency, and that's what is mentioned here as yoga Māyā. So yoga Māyā, he is controlling the material energy through the spiritual energy. So I was thinking of this example when a shadow, so material energy is just like a shadow or reflection, but the spiritual energy is the original spiritual potency of the Lord. So when a person is walking and his shadow is also moving with him, but he is not controlling the shadow, rather the movement of his body is controlling the shadow, and he is the person within that body who is controlling the movement of the body. So he is controlling the shadow indirectly by controlling his bodily movement. In the same manner, the Supreme Lord is not controlling the material energy directly, but through the spiritual chit potency, and that chit potency is known as yoga Māyā here. And Yoganidrā is the potency that is the spiritual potency, which is he always associates with. That Yoganidrā is mentioned here. In the next verse, then the Jivatma, how Jivatmas are awakened from the dormant state, that is mentioned here. Yojayitvā tu tānyeva praviveśa swayam guhām pravishte tasminstu jivatma pratibudhyate. So yojayitvā, by conglomerating or combination or mixing of all those separate entities, he manifests the innumerable mundane universes, and himself, praviveśa, entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate. So guhām.
Yeah.
Can you all see me?
Yes. Now we can.
Okay, sorry, I think I got disconnected. Let me share again. Can you see my screen, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry about that. So yojayitvā tu tāny. So by combining or mixing, or the word he is using here is conglomerating these material elements and associating with the jivatmas, he, at that time, those jivas who had laid dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. Cataclysm is the previous annihilation or previous destruction or pralaya. When the destruction of the universes happened previous, all the jivatmas in this material world, or the what is referred as tatastha shakti, they go into dormant state and they stay inside the Mahā-Viṣṇu until the next creation. So in this time when creation happens, when the universes are created, then by combination of these jivatmas, he enters himself, and then these jivatmas are awakened. So, and when they are awakened, they carry their previous karmic reactions with them and start working according to, they are put into those situations and then they start working into that activities. So here in this verse, the word guha has multiple meanings. Guha means also, we hear from 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Rajaguhyam. So guha means also secret or hidden, or a place which is difficult to access, or what we call as a confidential matter or something like that. So guha bears various interpretations in the Shastra. In some portions, the manifestive, non-manifestive pastimes of the Lord are called guha because they are not manifested to us. We don't know enough about those pastimes. And elsewhere, the resting place of the indwelling spirit of all individual souls is also named as guha. So here the word guha is mentioned. So yojayitvā means when these material elements are mixed together and then jivatmas are awakened. So the Lord also enters swayam, praviveśa swayam. Where does he enter? Guham, in every part, as we will read eventually, andantarastam paramano chayantarastam. As Paramatma, he enters in the heart of the living entities as well as in every atom, which are considered as, even though he is in our heart, he is not easily accessible to us, or the living entities in this material world, they don't know that he is there. So in that way, it is mentioned that he is there, but he is unknown to us still. So there are a couple of things about this creation, what part is mentioned here. So in the slides, I just pointed those out. So these 5 elements in the beginning are separate, and then the Lord, by his Māyā potency, he mixes them and the living entities are awakened. So Lord creates the material universes for the purpose of awakening the countless spirit souls, on giving them again opportunity so that they can get out of this material creation. So this is also mentioned in the 3rd canto, where Maitreya Muni elaborates of this creation to Vidura. And the first few verses of those chapters are very related to the 2 verses we read today. So in here, the very first verse, Sage Maitreya said, the Lord thus heard about the suspension of progressive creative function of the universe due to non-combination of his potencies. So before his potencies, such as Mahat-tattva. And in the purport, Prabhupada mentions the same thing what we read, that there is nothing wanting in the creation of the Lord. The potencies are there in the dormant state. So they are still, the material energy and the spiritual energy are in the dormant state, and the material elements are still separate, or as we read in the Brahma-saṁhitā, vibhinnāni pṛthak. But unless they are combined by the will of the Lord, nothing can progress. So by his potency of Māyā, he combines them, and then the creation starts, or the living entities awaken, and then the creation or the universe starts, the moment starts in the universe. The suspended progressive work of creation can only be revived by the direction of the Lord. So only by his will, the material universe and the living entities are awakened. And in the next couple of verses, it is said, the supreme powerful Lord then simultaneously entered into the 23 elements. Now here, there are more detailed elements are mentioned here, with the goddess Kali, which is nothing but the material energy, or the Māyā Devi, his external energy, who alone amalgamates. Now the word here in the Brahma-saṁhitā Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used word conglomeration. Here Prabhupada uses amalgamate, the mixing of all those different elements. And thus, when the personality of Godhead entered into the elements by his energy, all the living entities were enlivened into different activities, just as one is engaged in his work after awakening from sleep. So similarly, what we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, unless the personality of Godhead enters into the heart of the spiritual or the living entity, and also he enters in every universe, nothing moves. And then the living entities start working just like awakening after sleep. So from their dormant state, they are awakened, and then they continue their karmic reaction, their activities in this material universe where they left off, where they had left off in the previous yuga or previous cycle. Then I also found this interesting relation with Markandeya Rishi when he sees the illusory energy of the Lord. So in the 12th canto, in the 9th chapter, there is a very beautiful pastime where Lord Markandeya Rishi, he prays to Naranarayana Rishi, and when Naranarayana Rishi wants him to ask for benediction, Markandeya Muni just wants to see the illusory potency of the Lord. And then Naranarayana Rishi gives him benediction, and after some time, then Markandeya Rishi experiences the complete process, how the illusory potency or Māyā of Lord works. So in the summary here, it's very beautifully given, complete chapter summarized, that Markandeya had offered, satisfied by the prayers of Markandeya, the Lord offered him benediction, and then the sage wanted to see his illusory energy. And the Supreme Lord Hari, present before Markandeya, he replied, so be it. In the form of Naranarayan, he said, so be it. And then they left for Badrikashram. Then one day, Markandeya, when he was offering his evening prayers, the water of devastation suddenly flooded the three worlds. So the annihilation part of the Māyā potency he was experiencing. With great difficulty, Markandeya moved about alone in this water for a long time until he came upon a banyan tree. Now, what did he say there? Lying upon a leaf of that tree was an infant boy glowing with charming effulgence, and that was Krishna himself. As Markandeya moved toward the leaf, he pulled by the boy's inhalation, and just like a mosquito, drawn into his body. So just like at the time of devastation, all the living entities and universes get pulled into Mahā-Viṣṇu, Markandeya Muni got pulled into that infant boy just by his inhalation. Inside the boy's body, Markandeya was amazed to see the entire universe just as it had been before annihilation. So the entire universe was in Krishna's body, which Markandeya Muni could see that. And after the moment, sage was carried out by the force of child's exhalation. So he came out by the exhalation and hurled back into the ocean of annihilation. Then seeing the child on the leaf was actually Sri Hari, the transcendental Lord, situated within his own heart. Sri Markandeya tried to embrace him, but at that time, Lord Hari, the master of mystic power, disappeared. So here again, the Lord Hari in the 33rd verse is that Guhya or Guha word comes here, and that meaning of Guha is mentioned here as he's mentioned, the Lord is mentioned as yoga-dhisho guhashaya. So he's yoga-dhisha, he's the supreme master of yoga, which is the same word as we read in Bhagavad Gita, Yogeshwara. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. And Guhashaya, who is hidden within the heart of the living being. So Lord is hidden, even though he is within the heart, but he is called Guha, means he is hidden. So even though he is close to us, but he is in such a place that the living entity cannot find it. That's why in the Brahma-saṁhitā also that word Guha is used. So in this verse it is said that at that moment when the Markandeya Muni tried to embrace the Lord, at that moment the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is original master of mysticism and who is hidden within everyone's heart, became invisible to sage, just as the achievements of incompetent person can suddenly vanish. So coming back to so that's what the meaning of Guha is mentioned. It is in several places, but that I felt was very appropriate for this particular verse, how it is referred to. The Lord enters in Guham Pravishte. In this universe, he enters in all the places as Paramatma, Andantarastam, Paramanu Chayantarastam. In the next verse, now it is referring to Sa, so referring to the living entities who are awakened. They are mentioned as awakened in the previous verse. Sa nityo nitya sambandha prakritischa praviveśa. So Sa nityo. So the same Jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kinship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. So Sa Nityo, that Jivatma is also actually eternal, Nitya. And he has Nitya Sambandha with Krishna. He has eternal relationship with Krishna also. And what is that relationship? It is mentioned here that for eternity without beginning, joined by the tie of an eternal kinship. It is spiritual relationship every living entity has with Krishna, and that is Nitya. Only he forgets that when he is in the material world, because he is covered by the material energy. So Prakriti, and that Jiva is also Prakriti. It is also energy of the Lord, but it is Para Prakriti, Para Eva Sa. That Prakriti is Para Prakriti. So as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also, Apareyam itastvanya prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. First he mentions the 8 bhumira ponalo vayu, on earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then intelligence, false ego, and mind are my separated 8 material energies. And then he mentions that besides these material energies, there is the superior para prakriti, or the superior energy, and that is jiva bhutam. And this whole creation is made up of those 2 energies. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani tripadhare. So that's what is mentioned here in the purport also, that just as the sun is eternally associated with his rays, so the transcendental Supreme Lord is also eternally joined with the jivas, with spiritual energy. The relationship is always there. And then there, the famous verse what we always refer is Jivera Swarupa Nityara Krishna Dasa, that also mentions here that the internal relationship consists in that the Supreme Lord is the eternal master and the jivas are eternal servant. So this eternal relationship what we have, all the jivas have with Krishna, is this: Krishna is the eternal Supreme Master and all the jivas are his eternal servant. So in the so all the jivas are related to Krishna eternally, just like the sun is related to sun rays. So that's what is mentioned. And then, I was referring here to 15.7 Krishna, where Krishna says, Mamaivansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. That all these living entities are my part and parcel, my amsha. But in this material world, they are prakriti-sthani karshati. By the 6 senses, they are suffering in this material world. And then the next, he says, Evam sarvatma sambandhan nabhyam padmam harer abhut tatra brahma bhavad bhuyash chaturvedi chaturmukha. So, evam, so how they are related, even in this material world, how they are connected to the Supreme Lord is given here. So, the lotus that comes out of his nabhyam padmam. So, the divine lotus which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu is in every way related by the spiritual tie with all souls and is the origin of the four-faced Brahma verse in the four Vedas. So all the living entities in this material world are also connected to the Supreme Lord through this lotus flower that is coming from the navel of the Lord. So all the universe, all the 14 planetary systems, as we saw earlier last week, they are in the stem of this universe, and on the top of that stem, that golden lotus is there, which is the abode of Brahmaji. So that's what the origin of the four-faced Brahma is, that who is also learned in the four Vedas. So the same divine lotus originating from the divine person entered into the hidden races. So it is everywhere, the lotus stem, and is the superior plane of aggregation of all the individual souls. And the four-faced Chaturmukhi Brahma is the image of self-enjoyment, derives its origin from the prototype Brahma, the original Brahma, which is Hiranyagarbha, which is actually Vishnu Tattva. So the Brahma, four-faced Brahma, derives his origin from the prototype Brahma, that Hiranyagarbha, that's the original Brahma, that is Vishnu Tattva. And then the mundane seminal principle, who regards the aggregate of mundane entities as his original own proper body, and the delegated godship of Brahma as well as the dislocated portion of Krishna are also established. So everyone in this material world is also related to the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu through that lotus stem. So they all have that spiritual tie through that. And I don't know, I don't remember now, but somewhere I read, if I remember correctly, that's why all the living entities, when we say that a child is born, it is also umbilical cord is connected to his navel. So somewhere that relation was there. I could not find it. I was thinking of sharing that, but I could not find it. So yeah, so that spiritual tie is there for all the living entities with the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu through that stem of the lotus flower. So that's all I wanted to complete today up to verse 34. So what we saw today is basically how the the material elements are initially separate, and then the Lord combines them or mixes them with his Māyā potency, and then the living entities are, and he enters in each and every universe, in every atom and heart of every living entity, and then that's when the living entities are awakened from the previous annihilation. And the living entities description is given that they are eternal and we have eternal relationship with the Lord, but we are also Prakriti and we are Para-Prakriti. And then we also have spiritual tie or spiritual connection with Garbhodakashayi Vishnu through this lotus stem and lotus flower, which sprouts from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So thank you very much. I'll stop there, and if there are any reflections, we can take.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, sorry. If anyone can continue.
I think Sudevi Sakhi Mataji has her hand raised.
Oh, okay. So, Devi Mataji, after you, I will ask Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and Dandavat Pranam to Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nice class. And you try to simplify as much as possible those difficult words of Brahma-saṁhitā by connecting it to Srimad Bhagavatam verses and also giving your own explanation. So it was really helpful. And the last part which we were looking at, and also about Markandeya Rishi, there are two questions I have. So the last one which we were looking at, where it was mentioned that the four-faced Brahma came from the prototype Brahma or Hiranyagarbha, and you mentioned that he's a Vishnu Tattva. So is it referring to the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu only, or there is another, prototype Brahma which is also Vishnu Tattva, from whom all Brahmas of all universe come, or like what is that? Could you explain?
So that Hiranyagarbha, as per my understanding, is the Vishwarupa or Virata Rupa of the Vishnu as he enters in the whole universe. And Shankaran Prabhu, I'll rely on you on that for correcting if that is correct.
What was that? Hiranyagarbha? I sorry, missed it.
So Mataji's question is here. I mentioned here based on the prototype Brahma. So the four-faced Brahma in each in our universe, or the Brahma in each universe, is actually it derives the origin from the prototype Brahma in the universe, and the prototype Brahma is called as Hiranyagarbha, which is actually Vishnu or Vishnu Tattva. So Mataji is asking, who is that Vishnu? Is that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu? So I was mentioning that it is the Vishwarupa or Virata Purusha form of the Vishnu, from which that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Sorry, bro. You froze for me for a while. I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. We could hear Radharanjan Prabhu, but we cannot hear you clearly, Shankaran Prabhuji. Probably your connection is weak.
So I'll repeat, Prabhuji, just so Mataji's question, when I mentioned that the Brahma, four-faced Brahma in our universe, he derives his origin from the prototype Brahma. That is what is mentioned in the purport here. Or he is also called as Hiranyagarbha. So Mataji was asking, who is Hiranyagarbha? And I mentioned that it is Vishnu Tattva. So my understanding is this prototype Brahma or Hiranyagarbha is actually Virata Purusha form in each universe. I just wanted to confirm with you, is that correct understanding?
Actually, Hiranyagarbha is, Virat Purusha is more or less kind of an imaginary form. There is no such form as, we say Virat Purusha is described in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavacharya explained that Virat Purusha is more or less imaginary, but Hiranyagarbha is a Vishnu Tattva. So you can say Brahma is just like, Lord Shiva has its origin in Sadashiva. Similarly, Brahma has its origin in Hiranyagarbha.
So Mataji's question was, is that Hiranyagarbha Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, or is it separate from the three Purusha avatars?
Hiranyagarbha, that's a good question. I'm not able to recollect, but I think Hiranyagarbha is sometimes referred as also Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, because Hiranyagarbha refers to the golden, Garbha is literally like womb.
Embryo
So
or womb, yeah.
Embryo womb, yeah. So Hiranyagarbha refers to that form, but I'm not sure. I need to cross check. I do remember reading something similar as you're saying, Mati is asking, but I'm not able to recollect for sure that whether Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is actually Hiranyagarbha or not. But Hiranyagarbha is surely Vishnu Tattva.
Yep. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Really.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes,
yeah,
Mataji.
because we were, the translation talks about Brahmaji coming from the navel pit of Vishnu. This Vishnu, we know that he's a Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And in the purport, the explanation talks about four-faced Brahma, the image of self-enjoyment, derives his origin from the prototype Brahma or Hiranyagarbha, the mundane seminal principle who regards so it looks like there could be one more intermediate intermediary or whatever between Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Brahmaji, or it could be directly from
It could be directly.
Garbhodakshay. Yeah, so that part is not clear. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And one more question was about Markandeya Rishi's pastime, where Markandeya Rishi sees that Lord in the form of a baby is sucking his toe, and then from he's sucked into his body, and then he's exhaled out of his body, right? So is there a specific significance related to this baby form? Because we know that ideally whenever this annihilation happens, it is into the body of Mahā-Viṣṇu, right? Or if it is only for that universe, it will be inside the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So but why the baby form kind of was depicted here? Like any specific reason Acharyas explain or something?
I had read, but I'll be honest, I don't remember on the top of my head. Even the sucking of his toe had a reason, specific, very nice, beautiful reason for that. Shankaran Prabhu, do you have any reference?
Sorry, I was searching for the Hiranyagarbha. What was the question?
So, Markandeya Muni's pastime, when he sees the Māyā Shakti, and when he sees Lord in the baby form on the lotus, on the banyan leaf. So why he sees the baby form instead of Mahā-Viṣṇu? And is there any significance of seeing baby form? And then I was also thinking about the baby Krishna, Markandeya Rishi sees he's sucking his toe. So that is also some beautiful explanation by Acharyas, but I don't remember on top of my head.
Well, the simple explanation is the Lord always gives darshan based on the inclination of his devotees. So Markandeya Rishi apparently has devotion to Krishna. So therefore, the Lord appeared to him as Krishna. So Lord does not give his darshan, in just one form. He gives the darshan to all the living beings, all the devotees, based on their inclinations. So, this is also corroborated in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Now the Thakur explained that Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave darshan to all his devotees based on what devotion they had. Like Murari Gupta was staunch devotee of Lord Ramachandra. So Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him darshan of Ramachandra. Sridhar Kolavicha was a staunch devotee of Krishna. So Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed to him Krishna form. Prabhu, I found this Hiranyagarbha also reference in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Hiranyagarbha is actually Garbhodakshay Vishnu.
Oh, it is okay. Thank you for confirming that.
Yeah. So this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 20-92.
Can you send that maybe in the WhatsApp group, Prabhu? Because
yes,
I
sure.
think the chat here
we
will lose the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
So
thank you so much, Prabhuji.
It says Hiranyagarbha Antaryami Garbhodakshay Sahasra Shishadi Kori Vedayare Gai. Garbhodakshay Vishnu, known within the universe as Hiranyagarbha and Antaryami or Super Soul, is glorified in the Vedic hymns, beginning with hymns that start with the word Sahasra Shirsha.
Sahasra Shirsha, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And this
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhu, you can complete. My question was why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is referring him as prototype Brahma. Yeah.
So my understanding is he derives his origin or energy or what do you call potency for creation from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So he is actually origin of that Brahma. That's why I'm that's my thought. He is mentioned as prototype Brahma or Hiranyagarbha.
Yeah, so I was just wondering because from Garbhodakshay Vishnu, every Garbhodakshay Vishnu, there will be one Brahma only. Correct. As we understand from Bhagavatam. But otherwise, all there are many universes which emanate from Mahā-Viṣṇu's body, and from each of the universe, Mahā-Viṣṇu enters as Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu in each of the universe, and then he will have again Brahma coming out from his navel, right? So,
Yes.
So for every Brahma, there is one Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu who is the originator, correct? So that's why I was thinking why here Hiranyagarbha or Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu would be referred as prototype Brahma.
So even when we say that every universe has Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu, that Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu is one. It is not separate. That's what my understanding. Just like Paramatma, even though he is in every living entity's heart or every atom, but it is one Paramatma. It is not separated. I don't know how to explain this well, but that's my understanding.
Could you repeat the former part?
So even though in each universe he enters and he seems to be different Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu, but he is one Viṣṇu. Just like Paramatma, when we hear about Paramatma, Paramatma is one, as in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, in the 13th chapter, it is mentioned that what is the verse? I don't remember on the top of my head, but the kshetra kshetrajnayo sarva kshetreshu bharata. So that he enters in every living entity. The living entities are separate, but when he enters in all the bodies, and he seems to be different in each body, but he is same Paramatma. He's one Viṣṇu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And after Anuradha Mataji, if no one else has questions, I have one more question. Prabhuji.
Okay, we'll wrap. And yeah. So thank you, Mataji.
I got answers from Sudevi Mataji. So whatever I'm thinking, Sudevi Mataji asked the question. So I cleared it up, Prabhuji.
Okay, what was your question and what is the answer, Mataji?
What is meant by protocol Brahma? So that's
Prototype.
what I was.
Okay.
Prototype of Brahma.
Okay. Thank you. And then this about the sucking of the toe, I think I was highlighting that part. So it was also beautiful pastime that Lord, he sees that if everybody enjoys the nectar of my lotus feet, then I also want to enjoy that. That's why he's sucking his lotus feet when in the Markandeya Muni's pastime. So yes,
Thank you so much.
We will take one more question and then we'll stop.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. So when Markandeya Rishi wanted to see the illusory potency of the Lord, so he got this vision of suddenly there is an annihilation, and then he saw baby Krishna, and then he was annihilated into his body, and then he was exhaled out. So all this, and then everything was normal. So basically, does it mean that all this creation and annihilation, everything is actually not factual? What does it mean?
Short answer, generally what I give is yes and no. So yes, because as everything, if Lord is true, we call him absolute truth. So everything he created, even the material energy or the experience what we get, are all true. But at the same time, because they are temporary, that's why they are not real. The word, many times if you see this in the Bhagavatam or in the Vedic literature, this contradictory word comes that this material creation is unreal. Many times we hear that. So it is not true, just what you were asking, you were mentioning. But at the same time, in many places, Prabhupada also mentions that or to defeat the Mayavadi philosophy, Brahma-saṁhitā jagat-mithya. So he mentions that if Brahma is Satya, everything created by Brahma is also Satya. So even this Jagat is also Satya, but it is temporary. So in that sense, it is Mithya. So the potency, Maya potency of Lord is real, but at the same time, it is temporary to give us that experience. That's why it is also unreal. So that's what my understanding. So there is no direct true or false kind of answer. So Shankaran Prabhu, can you please add something to that, or if my understanding is correct?
Yes, Prabhu, yeah, that's correct. Can everyone hear me too? My
Yes,
internet
we can
connection
hear you,
is
Prabhu.
somehow very unstable.
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, Prabhu.
So that Achinda Beda Beda Tattva,
Yeah.
we say.
That's correct, Prabhu. That's
So
correct.
it's
Somehow
real. Yes, Prabhu, please.
No, go ahead.
No, so it is real at the same time it is unreal. Means it's real because God is real, so everything that He creates is real, but it is temporary. So all the experiences what we get are temporary. So in that sense, it is unreal.
Yes, that's correct.
So why is it this particular pastime which shows how the illusory potency works, or he got the illusory potency of the Lord through this pastime? Does it mean that like when Brahma starts creating, he creates those 5 types of ignorance, because of which the living entity starts thinking that he is this body, and he starts living similarly. I understand point of eternity, this creation and everything appears to be like a temporary a small thing, like bubbles in ocean, they get created and burst, similar to that. But for us, we have real experience. Real experience is because of our bodily thing, which is the covering of the illusory potency, or is it actually something which just a play of the illusory potency of God? And like as you mentioned, Brahma's creation is real. Brahma is real and Brahma's creation is real, but the Mayavadis, they say that mithya, that is this is all illusory. That's what they say. And then in this particular pastime also, it shows that all this creation and annihilation is the kind of illusory thing. So I'm trying to understand exactly what it is.
I was thinking of one verse, if I remember correctly. So I think if I remember correctly, in Prithu Maharaja's instructions, there is one verse where he explains how this illusory energy is. So he gives an example. If somebody is rotating for a long time and then he stops, so he experiences, and we experience this all the time. If you are dancing and then you are turning all the time, when you stop, all the world around you seem to be rotating. Is it rotating? In reality, no. But you still experience that it is turning because of certain things what you have done, because of your past momentum that you have been carrying, your body is carrying. So in the same manner, this Maya, even though we are experiencing that may not be true, but we are experiencing that in the same manner. So our experience is based on the karmic reactions what we have doing. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that is the example I was thinking right now. Is it relevant to your question, Mataji?
Prabhu, you're trying to explain. Yeah, I got your point. Thank you so much. Was it pertaining to this only it was explained in Prithu Maharaj's pastimes?
I think so. I'm trying to remember. I think I recently.
I think whether it was similar context or different context, but the example is very striking and very appropriate what Radhan said. It makes the striking point. I just remember another example that Radhan, if you don't mind, I'll just.
Yeah, please, Prabhu, please.
So another example which in the conversation of Vidura and Maitreya Rishi gives another example. He says, just like a person sleeping and he is dreaming that tiger is chasing him. Okay. So sometimes we see the person is screaming, tiger, 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 and he's screaming and he's very scared. From his face, you can make out he's very scared. He's perspiring also as if he's running from the tiger. So is there a tiger real?
No.
No, right? But is the experience of tiger is real or no? The person is actually perspiring. He's actually fearful. So the experience is real, but the tiger is not real in that whole situation. Okay. So if you want to eradicate the misery of a person, of the tiger, so you don't have to sleep beside him and go into the dream and drive away the tiger. All you need to do is just wake the person up. Because his experience is real, but the source of his experience is not real. That's imaginary.
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense, Matani. So every happiness and every distress in this world is actually nothing but imagination of a living entity. There is no reality in it. The world is real. The experience that we experience is also absolutely real, but there is no basis of that happiness. I see, oh, my mother died or my father died, but they're not really my father or mother. It's my imagination. I think, oh, my child is died, but it's not my child. I actually have no connection as a child or a father or mother with anyone. Our relationship with each other is through Krishna as the Tattva Shakti of Krishna. Yes, Mataji, go ahead, I think. So this we will also have some coming.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So we have one more hand up. We can take that last one. Tadya Seva, Prabhuji.
I don't want to take a lot of time, Prabhu. This is, 1 second. Huh?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
This is a very, what do you call, core question of all the philosophies, whether the material existence is real or unreal, or is it imaginary, or is it, there are so many characteristics. So even the Mayavadis have their own understanding of this core philosophical question. So I also have a lot of confusion, but I settled with one simple answer at this time. Maybe I may be wrong. The answer I settled so far is this material world is not unreal, but it is temporary. That's the only thing I have settled in my mind. If I have a better understanding, or if I have a better definition by any philosophical school, or within our Vaishnavas Siddhanta, if there is any better definition, I am ready to accept that.
So your understanding is in line with the Shastra, Prabhu, and according to the Vaishnava philosophy. So that is correct. So that's what I have heard many times Prabhupada said, and also the explanation what we read in the books, that the world is real, but it is temporary.
Yeah, that is my, obviously from within our Vaishnava school. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. So I think we'll stop here today. It is late a little bit. But thank you so much for those questions.
Thank you very much, Radhan, for taking the effort. Really.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha,
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavebhyo Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.